Coming up this week on the Nintendo Directors Podcast, we discuss the new Animal Crossing Direct, go over some awesome sales numbers for the Nintendo Switch, and talk all things Mario Odyssey and more.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Brad.
We're two middle school band directors.
And you're listening to
Nintendo Directors. Hello and welcome to Nintendo Directors Podcast episode 3008. Is that right? Are we on the right number at this point? I know we made mistakes before. I think it's 3008.
I believe we are, yes, definitely.
After you've done 3007 episodes, it's hard to keep track of where you are.
We're so experienced, it's just, I think we...
Jeez. Yes. Man, this is a well-oiled machine, folks. So, anyways, yeah, the date is November 2nd when you're getting this. We're recording this on the 1st, and you're going to be getting this in your ear holes on November 2nd. That's a Thursday, as we release all of our episodes, usually on a Thursday. and anyways, I'm Mark, and my co-host here is Brad, and we talk about Nintendo things, and it's fun, because Nintendo's fun. And we all love Nintendo. And I don't know why you'd be listening to this if you didn't. So, anyways. Yeah, so this is a pretty sweet episode. We don't have a review at the end, but there's so much news. So much happened. Yeah.
So much, and really good stuff. So,
yeah. And I think there was a new game. At least one. I don't know. Well,
is there a sequel to Dusty Diamond's All-Star?
Ooh. Man,
is that it?
Kicks! I would kickstart that thing in a heartbeat. I don't care if it doesn't even get funded. I didn't get my money back. I want to see that happen. Anyways, yeah, no, it's. I don't think it's that one, but something else. I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's in the show notes. We'll get there. So, anyways.
Very cool.
Yeah. So this is an every other week podcast. And this will be available to you on Thursday, November 2nd at 9 a.m., just like every episode on every other Thursday. So, all right. Well, anyways, let's get into the news this week. Take it away, Brad.
Okay. The news this week is brought to you by the Christmas aisle, now available in your local superstore, because who needs November anyway?
All right, the news. Brad, why don't you get us started here?
Hey, we this happened shortly after we recorded our last episode, but there was a Nintendo Direct focused exclusively on Animal Crossing, that being the mobile version of the game. And this has been long talked about. In fact, I think even since Nintendo originally started talking about doing mobile things. Obviously, we've had Miitomo, and we've had Mario Odyssey. Excuse me, we've had Mario Run.
What's this Mario Odyssey you speak of? I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later.
You never know.
Sounds like a good title.
Oh, okay. It could work.
Nintendo, run with it. All right, go ahead.
I like it. So we've had copyright Nintendo Directors this 2017.
Yeah,
use that idea. But anyway, so we've talked about this a lot, but it kind of fallen off my radar. Like I'd almost forgotten that it was coming. And then in typical Nintendo fashion, Nintendo's just like, "Hey, we're having a direct like tomorrow, and we're going to talk all about this game," which is a policy that I kind of love and hate from Nintendo. Like they make you wait so long for information, but then when it comes, it's just like, bam, and everything's there.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting kind of display because there's been a lot of speculation about what this mobile experience for Animal Crossing would actually be like. Would it be just sort of like much more like the Happy Home Designer game that came out last year or the year before? Where you're just kind of like organizing houses and focusing on that aspect of it, or would it be an actual more fully featured Animal Crossing experience where you're kind of doing most of the things that are involved in that, or would it be something else entirely? And so we haven't really been able to know that until now, and this is actually pretty promising. I was honestly quite surprised that this game seems like a much more fully featured experience than I was expecting.
I was hoping for a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, but
happen. I guess you're going to be a little disappointed with this.
Just a little, but it's okay.
Fair enough. Animal Crossing the shoot 'em up. That would be quite interesting. That would go against everything in Animal Crossing, but you know what? You could maybe finally get back at Tom Nook, and he would be the final boss. And
that'd be great.
That's great. First, actually, I'm just curious, Mark. How much Animal Crossing have you been able to play over the years?
Over the years, I've probably logged somewhere in the neighborhood of like 0 minutes in Animal Crossing.
0 minutes,
which is not to
how
say
many hours did that make?
In the neighborhood of 0.
Oh,
but
okay.
that's not to say that I'm anti Animal Crossing. Okay. It's just, I have a hard time with games where you do a lot of organizing because I hate doing that in real life. But that said, I totally get the appeal of Animal Crossing games, and they look incredibly charmingly cute. And if my kids decide to get into it, I'm sure I would be like fully on board with it. So
it's a perfect family game, especially
right.
For you,
I anticipate that I'm within a year or so of finally playing Animal Crossing in some form or another, and we already have some Animal Crossing Nintendo. Not merchandise, but like amiibo stuff from not an amiibo, but like a book for like collectibles that I got from the local Nintendo rep, and my daughter loves that, so I know I'll be playing some Animal Crossing at some point in the future, and I have no problem with that because it looks like I said charmingly wonderful, and it'll happen at some point.
And I think this mobile experience is going to be a fantastic way, maybe even to wet your whistle for that, because essentially what we have here is at least what it appears from the direct is sort of a scaled down experience. You're definitely not like in the most recent entries in the series, New Leaf, which I played in an embarrassing amount of time in. They basically had you got to be the mayor of a full on town, and you had all the responsibilities, you had all these tons of neighbors, and you could go do all that stuff. Just huge. This is a more scaled down experience, but it still allows you to do many, if not most, of the things that you would do in that Animal Crossing experience, the full game. There's multiple places that you can do. So it's not one giant town, but there are multiple smaller locations that you can travel to. There's a place called Sunburst Island. There's like a campsite. There's a forest, a beach. And sort of like a marketplace, which has like all the main shops that you're used to, by the Nook children. I think Tom Nook showed up in the trailer somewhere, but I don't think he was running his traditional shop. But either way, so it's these kind of smaller experiences, and yet you can still do lots of the, what do you call them? Like you can do the fishing, and you can do the buying and customizing furniture, and you can decorate your camper that you're traveling around in, and the even just in the campsite there you can put lots of furniture and stuff. And they added some more RPG type elements to it. There's what we call friendship levels, I guess, which actually I think is kind of cool because your neighbors in the past have always just sort of been this way to get little side quests, so you could basically get more clothing or furniture or whatever. And so this animal will say, hey, the elephant down the street there, they took my sofa and didn't return it. Like, can you go pick that up and then stuff it in your pocket and bring it over here? So you'd go do that, and then you'd get it back to them, and then they're like, hey, cool, thanks, here's this plaid shirt. Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for the hand-me-down.
Exactly. So
save me a trip to Goodwill. All right.
But with these friendship levels, it sounds like, you basically, I guess the more you talk to or interact with or, work with these animals, then you'll be able to build up a better relationship with them, and that presumably will have better benefits as you go along.
Yeah, you'll get a silk shirt and not just plaid. Yeah.
Exactly. There's all kinds of the possibilities are endless.
Yes. Lightly used undies. So.
Even better.
They're washed, but they've got at least a year on them.
Better than a well-used body pillow, which
yeah. It conforms to my body.
I actually did some. That came to my brain because there was a guy. Trent, Mr. Hollinger at Cornerstone.
Yeah.
When he got married, that was one of the things he sold from his consolidation thing when he got married.
Oh.
Well-used body.
Oh man, the scientific term for that is germ.
Right. Just all the bacteria.
Yeah.
But anyway, this. I'm really actually quite anticipating this now because honestly, I'm getting to the point. I played almost all of the Animal Crossing games from the GameCube one on. I never played the DS one because I didn't really have the DS in its heyday, and by then I'd already gotten a 3DS and I had New Leaf, which was quite superior to that. And so I've played a lot of Animal Crossing, but now I'm even looking at the prospect of a Switch entry in the series, and I'm thinking like, man, if I only usually get 30 to 60 minutes a day to play games. I think it's the same thing I was talking about with Stardew Valley when I first got it. I'm gonna want to put that time into Mario or to Zelda or some of these longer experiences and these smaller things. I just feel like I don't have as much endurance to play those games anymore. So, but who knows? With with this mobile game, obviously you just have it in your pocket and you'll be able to pull it out and just do a little bit here and there and put it back in.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah. Hey, kids, we're gonna play the B flat scale repeated for like 20 minutes. Just keep playing. All right, Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. All right, how's my Animal Crossing doing?
Right, there you go. Yeah, whatever works. So the one thing we haven't mentioned is that obviously because this is a mobile game that is free to play essentially, you have the opportunity to give them money, and that comes in the form of what do they call them? Leaf tickets. And these, so Leaf tickets are like a currency I think that you can use to, it wasn't necessarily, because they still have bells in the game. I'm trying to remember what the direct said. I want to say to like open new areas, or I'm gonna botch that. I don't remember exactly what it was. Anyway, it was something in the game that was rather essential, maybe to order certain types of items or something. And so you can get them through regular play of the game. But you can also purchase them. And so obviously that's what they're banking on in terms of monetizing the game. And so that's kind of a new thing, but somewhat expected, but it doesn't seem overly intrusive at this point. Obviously, I don't know the full extent of what you'll have to use them for, or how, there's obviously every free-to-play game has a certain level of necessity to, how far you, like I've played free-to-play games where they're like, look at all this stuff you can get for free, but none of it really matters in the game, and so you actually do have to spend a bunch money.
Right. Well, it's like, where am I going to hit this wall where it's unplayable unless I spend money? So, yeah.
But hey, it's coming out. It's coming out soon. It's coming out late this month, late November. And I guess it's already out in Australia now, or in Europe. Yeah, I think it's Australia. So if you live in Australia, go.
Yeah, and I'll be downloading this. I will definitely download it especially with the free to play. And so in a month, you can ask me, and I'll be able to say at least a minute I've played of Animal Crossing, and I imagine I'll be able to play quite a bit more of it. But yeah,
great.
So all right, next, this was courtesy of Kotaku.com, and it's this is the Breath of the Wild second expansion. It's still on pace to be ready this year.
This blows my mind. Like this is gonna be another one of those Nintendo things where they're like, "Hey, here's a direct. Here's information. It's out, or it's gonna be out very soon." If this is truly what they're still on par for, that's pretty crazy because they haven't said a peep about it.
Right. My guess is with everything that's coming out in this month, and that has come out recently, I bet it's like December 1st. I'm calling it right now, December 1st,
or
and then
31st.
They get. Hopefully not, because I feel like it's going to be a holiday, like an additional holiday push. Like get it out there. Like, hey, Breath of the Wild is now this even more expansive masterpiece of a game. So I'm kind of thinking early December, but that's only based on my scientific hunch. So
very scientific.
yes,
with all your evidence.
Evidence. Evidence as in feelings. So
Hey, my feelings are very evident to me. So
yes, they are. So whenever it comes out, all right, Zelda, you hooked me again. So yeah.
I'm finding myself in a place where I absolutely know I'm going to play it. I just don't know if I'll actually play it when it comes out right away. Because as you may know, I've still got a lot of Zelda to play. So there's still so much more. I haven't even gone to those other two Divine Beasts yet. In fact, I really haven't had a chance to play a whole lot of Zelda recently because there's another game or two that's been
something. I don't know. I don't know.
As it goes.
Yeah.
Like you do. So yeah, some point I'll definitely be getting that, but for now, there's other things to occupy my time.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We've got another. This is via IGN, and this is somewhat of an outdated story, but only because it changed so quickly. This is that when Nintendo released update 4.0 for the Switch, somebody sneakily figured out that you could plug a GameCube controller into it. I'm assuming through some kind of adapter for like the USB-C or something.
Yeah.
And so they were fully functional, and they were using the main operating system and also playing games. So Mark, tell us more.
Well, this definitely doesn't mean that Smash is coming to the Switch anytime soon. Because I mean,
couldn't be.
This is again based on my scientific feelings, but how could this not mean that Smash is coming to the Switch? I don't know.
Thank you, Lord. Yes, it should, and it should be noted.
It should.
Again, we mentioned the the outdatedness of this. Within like a day or two of this being discovered, it was gone.
Right.
Patched out right away.
So I think that was an oversight. I feel like they were just like, all right, yep, get it in there.
You really think they thought they could pull it over on the game?
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it was just like it was going to happen, and they didn't realize that it was in this patch. But
or maybe it's just a brilliant PR move, just
it could have been. Yeah. I again in Nintendo fashion, I wouldn't be surprised if they say at Christmas time, "Oh yeah, Smash is now on Switch," and
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. You're never going to see your family again. Unless they play with you. So
that's awesome, though. But it also could potentially mean that you could use it for GameCube Virtual Console.
Right.
If they choose
Virtual Console? What's that?
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know. That's not a thing anymore, apparently.
Yeah, no, that would be sweet. If we got GameCube Virtual Console at Christmas. So Nintendo, we have a few requests for Christmas. So Zelda DLC, Smash, GameCube Virtual Console, period. Just anyways. I'm getting greedy now because there's so much good happening. Not gonna, yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff happening, but yeah, GameCube controllers. Let's just say it's gonna happen for sure.
Yeah, it's happening. We're calling it right now. Yeah. So all right, next up, Mario plus Rabbids Challenge Pack DLC now available, which
was a week or two ago, but yes.
Yeah, which is great if I had the game, and I will be getting this game. This is probably one of my Christmas presents to myself. Will be getting this game because it I don't know why I don't have it already, but
it looks so good. I honestly haven't played it either. I'm probably gonna I don't know if I'll buy it, but I'll at least borrow it from a friend, or my local library actually has a pretty good collection of games, which is great.
Switch games already?
Well, no, but I'm hoping that they will soon.
Yeah, that's what I'm really hoping for that. I keep checking it. It's like, Wii U, still just Wii U. Okay.
Right. But I did hear that Redbox, I think we talked about this before, Redbox is they've got some Switch games going out in a couple cities right now, so hopefully that'll expand.
Yep.
Pretty soon. So, but from everything that I've heard about this, by the way, the game itself, outside of the DLC, is a pretty challenging game in itself. And some of the people that I know, like, they're like, man, never have I, because the game itself has its own challenges, right? And so they're like, some of the people I was listening to, they're like, you know what? never have I once said in this game, man, I wish it would be harder. I wish there would be more challenge, like really challenge to get to this out. So then they were like, I can't imagine some of these challenges that they're, if it's going to be even more intense than what's already in the game.
I think the best thing about it is just the sign that it's obviously doing well enough for them to put that out. So
yeah,
that's great, and that's is further affirmation that I should be getting it because enough people have bought it that it's obviously worth getting. So
awesome. Let's move on. So we've got a couple more stories here. Wait.
I was going to say, I was like, I don't think we've talked about it, but maybe I missed it. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah, yes. In my brain, I was thinking about this. So, about Redbox.
So about Redbox. That's the next thing on our show notes.
Redbox is apparently... Yeah, I had this conversation in my head already, and then... Yeah, that's how it goes. Right. Redbox is going to be getting Switch games. How about that?
Hey, cool.
And even has started already. Seattle, San Antonio, and Portland apparently have some Redboxes that include Switch games. And obviously that's a test bed to see how it works. And I honestly think it's going to work pretty well for them. I mean, if there's 7 million Switches in the wild now already, right. that's a pretty good indicator. And so I think I hope strongly that will continue to be the case and that they'll expand that even more. I do. The only downside to this, of course, is that with Redbox, they typically, in my experience, limit it to only maybe 4 or 5 different games at a time, across all systems, or at least in some cases I've seen. It's getting somewhat better, but if the chances that the game you really want to try out would probably be fairly slim,
right.
At least in the first several months or whatever.
Right.
Even if it does come to your city. So if you live in Seattle, San Antonio, or Portland, check it out and tell us what you.
And then give us contact us, and then we'll give you our address.
Nintendo Directors Podcast at gmail.com. That's right. There you go. So yeah, I mean, this is good news. This is people have been asking for this for a while. I've been wanting this for a while, just for a couple of those smaller experiences that I didn't have a chance to, or that I didn't really want to spend $60 on, or didn't have the funds for. But
right.
Mario + Rabbids would be a perfect way to try that game out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
For sure.
So, next, this was, let's see. So here we go. NintendoEnthusiast.com posted this article, and the Super Nintendo Classic Edition outsold every system in the month of September, and it released on the 29th.
That's
2
incredible.
days before October. Yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing, but we're going to talk about the numbers. This was courtesy of Nintendo Today. Apparently, the SNES Mini sold over 1.7 million units.
Wow.
That's courtesy of Nintendo Today, and that's just insane that it has moved that many units in such a short amount of time.
Okay, but not only that it sold it, but also that they were available.
Right. That's a huge number to have on hand at launch. So
for sure, continue.
But I mean that's just it's very different than the NES Mini. That's
you got that right.
A very different way of handling a launch. So so that's pretty cool. But and I think that means that we're getting an N64 Mini and then a Virtual Boy Mini.
Oh, save that to last at least, please. Game Boy Advance, not Game Boy. Game Boy Advance.
I just want a Game Boy Mini.
Oh.
A smaller version of an unreadable screen. That's all I want.
A Game Boy Mini?
Yes.
Because that was already a thing,
That's true. Yeah.
Micro. Game Boy Micro.
Yeah, Game Boy. Yes. So I'm imagining something like the size of, I don't know, like a dollar bill folded in half, and then trying to get those buttons to work. It'd be sweet. You could put it on your keychain. So
there you go.
Nintendo once again,
arthritis at the same time.
And destroy your vision. So, anyways,
okay.
Moving on. Let's see. Why don't you hit the next one, number 7 on the show notes?
Yeah, so I just think this is kind of interesting. It's not necessarily news, but I was just kind of looking back and thinking, we obviously we're a little past it now, but October 20th, this was like the day after we recorded the last one, but that was the day that we first saw the reveal of the Nintendo Switch, and it was a really exciting day, even though it was relatively short overall. This is the day that we met Karen,
right?
And our lives have never been the same since then. And yes, all those games on the roof that we wanted to get into. But you know what? It was a really cool day. And just all the reflecting on, man, like the rumors were true about this new system that Nintendo's making.
I remember watching that on my lunch while I was at work.
Yeah, me too.
And I immediately started getting people contacting me. They knew, because most people that know me on at least a small basis, they just associate me with video games.
Sure.
And so I had all these people that are like, "Are you getting that? Are you excited about it?" I'm just like, yeah. I mean, yes to all.
Right.
So,
yeah. I also remember this was the day that there was like a teaser for the new Red Dead Redemption game from Rockstar, which is also a pretty big deal, but this totally overshadowed that. And so that says a lot too. And just the hype that started real quick.
Right.
Because they made us wait so long to get any information about the NX.
Right.
But that was the day we knew it was the Switch, and it just...
Wait, it wasn't the Dolphin? It was...
No, that was a couple of years ago.
Right.
But just the beauty and the elegance of the system, and you see the guy there on the plane, you see the Joker's there in the van, like hunched over hunched over that tiny screen. But it all eventually came true. That's awesome.
It is remarkable that it took less than a year. For them they announced it, and then
barely.
6 months they announce it, and then here it is, and now everybody wants it, and it's amazing. So
it's awesome. Yeah. So just a little reminiscing. Us old codgers here, we like to think back all those many months. Many. Yeah. I mean that we were only on like episode 2,900 something at that point. So. Way back.
Yes, the still late days of Nintendo Directors, or pre-days, whatever. Anyways, so next,
Mark, I think this is the PlayStation story. What's all this about?
This is a PlayStation story, but it again, we're calling it right here, based on a scientific hunch. But Guacamelee 2 was just announced recently, and again, we're saying that this is most definitely, probably, almost certainly, definitely coming to the Switch. Since the last one did, and Guacamelee was great, and we were talking about this just a little bit before we started recording, and I played this about halfway through, and I don't know why I didn't finish it because I loved it, but you played this as well, right?
Oh man, Guacamelee is a fantastic game, and if you want any proof, like we were talking about this in the pre-show, if you want any proof that this is going to come to the Switch, the original came to the Wii U. That was kind of like throwing them a bone, like it just kind of like, here's this game. It was towards the end of it came to the Wii U. This is going to come to Switch, and if it was going to be like a Sony exclusive, they would have made a big deal about it in their conference, which they didn't. So, but yeah, so this is developer Drinkbox's game, and I have to say, in my history of gaming, I don't think I've ever done a bigger 180 on my approach or my feelings on a game than I did with the original Guacamelee. I looked at, every time I saw it, either running in motion or just looking at screenshots or whatever, I was so turned off by the art style and the aesthetic. I just, honestly, the whole like Day of the Dead thing, it just doesn't jive with me a whole lot. I'm not a huge fan. So even, well, in a game we're going to talk about later, it can be great gameplay, but the aesthetic kind of turned me off a little bit. But either way, so I was not planning on playing this game at all, and then all of a sudden, it became out as a free game on PlayStation Plus. Excuse me. And so I was like, all right, well, it's free. I might as well at least try a few minutes of it and see what happens.
Right.
So I booted up, and I play through, the first 20, 30 minutes or so, and I'm like, okay, this has some quirk. It's got the memes going, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. Yep.
All the cat memes and internet stuff, whatever. But so wonky. But it was one of those games where I just kind of kept coming back to it, and I was just like,
Yep.
I'll play a little more. I'll play a little more, and then I hit a certain point where I'm like, dang, this is good. This is really good, really good.
Yep.
And then from there, I had to finish it, and so like I love it's very much a Metroidvania when we in a time where we didn't have Metroidvanias at all, and you learn the new abilities, and there's even playful nods literally to Metroid, where like when you get a new ability, you have to crash this guy's like.
That's right.
The statues that look almost exactly like the ones from
I forgot about that. Yep.
But then there's like that old guy, the old goat guy. And he's like, "What are you doing?" So it was so good. And so it's very, very self-aware. And so I just fell in love with it. And so I finished it, and I still never loved the art style, but man, the gameplay was so solid. The combat was great. The exploration was a lot of fun, and the platforming was a step above what any non-Nintendo studio has done.
For a small studio too, like it was smooth. It felt instinctive, like,
and it was challenging, but like you could. And the best thing was that it was so, like, you screwed up, it was like you literally were immediately back. It just like it turned into that little ball, and it's like zoom, and you're back.
Yep.
And it kept me going, because if I'd had to like die and go back over and over and over again and lose ground, I definitely would not have gotten as far as I did. Especially since some of the stuff is so hard towards the end.
Right.
Some of the platforming challenges. And so I totally am excited for this sequel. It looks, the art style's basically the same. It's a little different just in the video that I watched. The characters are a little more exaggerated and stuff. But it's really very exciting. I can't wait to play it. Hopefully on Switch. Hopefully a day and date with the PlayStation version.
Right. Yeah, that'd be. If it comes out on the Switch, which it will, probably, then I will be getting that one for sure.
Scientifically.
Yes. Next up, a couple of news headlines from NintendoToday.com.
This is great news.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start with one that isn't great news.
Oh,
this one was that EA is in, quote, no rush to make more Switch games. This was after FIFA 18's disappointing sales, which last I saw, the Switch accounted for 1% of all of FIFA 18's sales.
Oh, dear.
Which maybe that, I don't know even if that's an exaggeration, that can't be good. But that's I think that was a month ago. I saw that it was 1% of the sales. So it's pretty bad.
I understand that the FIFA is their best-selling franchise, and so they might be tempted to make this their litmus test to go by. But there were also so many things that you got to consider in that. Like, I mean, obviously, it's not. I mean, for me, the thing that was most exciting about the last two FIFA games was the single-player mode.
Sure.
And that looks so cool and so fun. And because I haven't actually bought a FIFA game since like 2012. And that game was actually quite a lot of fun. I've never really played a full-on like season type soccer game before, and that one was really excellent. But then when I heard about this story mode, I was seriously considering looking into FIFA 17 for PS4 or something. And so when I heard it was coming to the Switch, I was so excited. And then all of a sudden, it was almost like the old days of the Wii, where Wii, they strap it. They're like, we're bringing it to your console, sort of.
Kinda.
Yeah. And so that honestly would have really tempted me to get FIFA 18 if it was there. But there were other things too. It was from what I understand, it was basically last year's game.
Right.
And so although most of the features that were there, it was running on that older engine.
And I honestly, I feel like, because they didn't release anything on the Wii U. I think
FIFA they did games. 13, but yeah, that was
okay. It's been so long that I feel like
one,
Nintendo, people that get a Nintendo system at this point don't go into it thinking I'm going to get FIFA on this. So if there's like a dedicated fan base for FIFA, they already got it on a different console.
Exactly. And it's going to look better and it's going to run better. So
right.
I mean, the portability factor is a strength. That's great. But
right, and had they made it the full version of the game, then they probably would have sold better. But I just feel like whatever.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because this means we won't get like well, I mean, we probably weren't expecting this anyway, but like Battlefront 2, the Star Wars game,
Right.
or some of those, or Battlefield, those properties, probably not
Right.
in the docket,
Whereas
at least at this point.
if they did it right, it would be sweet on a handheld.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, but whatever. Okay.
Let's get to the good news, shall we?
Yeah, let's get to the new. Let's definitely get to the good news. So, here we go. Let's start here. The Switch has reached 7.6 million sales,
Wow.
and it is expected to hit 17 million by April, which is
just over a year. That's just over a year.
Massive amount of consoles, and even if they come up shy of that and they hit like 14 or whatever, that's a massive.
14
amount
is
of
what
consoles.
the Wii U sold entirely.
Right, and that's they've also said that we fully expect the Switch to beat the total Wii U sales within the first year.
That's incredible.
Which is funny because there weren't a lot of like experts in the field saying that the Switch was going to sell like hotcakes for this long. There was cautious optimism from some of the experts I was reading back when it was
Right.
leading up to the launch But most people were saying, "Yeah, I don't know. This could be the end," and it's like, nope,
Not so much.
not at all. So, that's just an insane amount of consoles, and that would put them within like 6 million of GameCube total sales. Didn't GameCube hit 23 or 26 million or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. And honestly, I haven't really looked at those numbers in a long time. I know that PlayStation 4 and Xbox are still quite a ways ahead at this point. Although,
Right.
Xbox One has definitely, tapered off quite a bit, and PlayStation has pulled ahead. But that's the interesting thing too, though, about going forward is if you're going to talk about comparing numbers and whatnot, like how are you, because this is sort of mid-cycle, if you will, or at least towards the end of a cycle, I guess, compared to the Xbox and the PlayStation 4. I think PlayStation hit 60 million recently or something, which is great for them, awesome. But but then that won't be like that forever, and they'll have to look at other options at some point. To obviously they got the PlayStation Pro now too, but
Right.
how do you start to do these systems when they're so staggered? How do you compare them when they're so staggered and when they're so different?
Right.
In many ways, it's not quite as much like they're all releasing at the same time frame like they used to be.
Yeah, it's not quite the Genesis Super Nintendo debate,
Yeah, for sure.
Which
For sure.
if you said Genesis, you're wrong. But
I was kind of a Genesis
I know you.
kid.
I know you. Yeah, I know.
But
I actually
mostly
had a Super
because-
Nintendo
yeah.
after the fact.
Yeah, for real. For real.
So, anyways, so that's pretty cool about Switch sales being so strong, and it's kind of like, yeah, duh, it's amazing. Like, of course, people are gonna get it. But, anyways, next up is that Rocket League launches on November 14th. We have a firm date now, and that is a couple weeks away, which is fantastic.
That's awesome.
And I'm getting that one within by the end of the month for sure, and probably on day one. Because honestly, I've played Rocket League once, and I don't know why I haven't owned it on other platforms, because everything about that is something that I want in a game. And I don't I love Mario Kart. I love driving games. I love sport games, at least old school sport games. I loved playing Excite Bike 64. They had the soccer game on that.
Right.
So I don't know why I haven't owned this before, but I've played it once and it's amazing. And I've seen a lot of videos online of it. It's one of the coolest games ever. It's such a simple concept, and it looks great. So
I would
November
totally
14th.
recommend getting in on it relatively quickly if you're going to get it for you or for our listeners, because my experience is after a little bit, or people get their feet wet, notwithstanding if they've played it on other consoles too, it gets really hard to stay competitive online if you're playing online.
Yep.
Because people are so good at that game.
I'm just stubborn enough that I think I would make myself good, and
so? Okay.
I would just sacrifice sleep to make it happen. But I
For sure.
Yeah, so that's exciting, and that's a great game that's coming to the Switch, which is fantastic. This next article from NintendoToday.com, which I just saw this one this morning, is insane. Super Mario Odyssey
What's that?
has sold 2 million copies in 3 days.
Dang. That's ridiculous.
That is, and I mean, I think back when I was in high school, my favorite band that I discovered, my favorite rock band was Pearl Jam, and I remember reading a quote from their bass player. When their second album released, they sold just under 1 million copies in their first week, and he was like, we all came from small bands before, and we're like, what is that? It freaked me out thinking, what is 1 million people listening to your music?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, what are these creators of this game thinking? Like, what is that 2 million people playing this game that you've created? That's an amazing game. And
wow.
The thought of 2 million copies sold in 3 days. It's one of the fastest selling Nintendo games of all time. So.
That's incredible. And, but even that, can you imagine being like a developer for a GTA game or who are still on the NPD numbers every month for GTA 5? That just blows my, like, if 100 and I think it's not 100 and some, but like 80 million people have played your game.
Right.
Or just something stupid like that.
What is that? I mean,
that?
That's just insane.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Crazy.
This next one, I just want to talk about it really quick. The Switch now has 300 registered developers working on games, which is a huge number.
I didn't hear that,
yeah, but I really hope that really terrible Wii U studio, that's one person that made that game called Maze, that was so bad, and also had another one. I wish it was like a mystery game, and it was like it had been made in Microsoft Paint, and it was just so terrible. I wish I could remember the name of that game offhand, but I hope that person is now making a game for the Switch or working on porting them over, because the Switch needs a few terrible
just
related.
Real bad.
Yes, it needs games that are like half a star rating, but yeah. So 300. That's a lot of people working on games. So that's pretty sweet.
Sometimes I forget just how many development studios worldwide there are, or even in just the nation.
Yeah.
There are thousands of companies working on games. A lot of those are like mobile games and stuff, but we think of the big tentpoles of Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, and even retro studios or the different various divisions of Nintendo, EAD, or there's different things. On the multi-platform side, you've got Guerrilla Games or Konami, just all these different places. But outside of that, there are so many, and how many people is that employing? It's weird to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. That is staggering. But so the next one, the second to last one here, the Switch, the sales for the Switch in Japan increased 4 times in the last week, thanks to Mario Odyssey, which is not a shocker.
Put that in perspective. You said that it quadrupled,
it quadrupled week over week.
Damn.
And that's I mean also not a huge surprise, because that's a huge game, but that's still, it was already selling like bananas over there, and now
that means people were waiting for the bundle, the Mario Odyssey bundle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I wonder how many of them are double dippers. Like they already had it, but they wanted the bundle.
Possible.
Yeah.
By the way, those numbers for Mario Odyssey, I believe, did include Switch bundles, which is fine. But
yeah,
because
totally.
that was the one that had the red Joy-Cons and the game in it, so that's cool.
Right. And then the last one, that I'm just going to read this headline from Nintendo Today, which is hilarious. WWE 2K18 storage requirements are so crazy it needs a warning on the box. Which we had talked about that before.
Right.
But that's just hilarious. Warning, this is insane.
Oh, dang.
Get a card if you don't have one. So, yeah. So anyways,
that's a lot of good news, man.
That is, man. Lots of news that we hit on today, and we should move on quickly because this is already going to be a long episode even without a review. So, so let's move on. Next up is what we've been playing. All right, what we've been playing. Brad, why don't you take it away?
What have I been playing? Well, I'll tell you what. I haven't been playing Stardew Valley.
Okay.
And I haven't been playing Sonic Mania. And I haven't even been playing Breath of the Wild, which is a strong statement, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I think I could just go on telling you all the things I haven't been playing. Would you like me to do that? I've been playing Dusty Diamonds real.
I was just gonna say you haven't played Dusty Diamonds. I haven't played Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a great game. But
I haven't been playing Metro. No, I haven't. I've been playing Mario.
Super Mario Run. All right, or no.
Not so much. Yeah, guys, Mario Odyssey is out, and spoilers, it's good. It's real good. Real good.
It's decent. Yeah.
It's
super decent.
Super decent Mario game. No.
That's the Nintendo Director's review. Quotes. It's super decent.
Super decent. Awesome. No. We've been so anticipating this game so much, and since they really kind of blew the lid off of it a bit at E3, just been looking so good. We talked about it last week in terms of our impressions of the demo that we got to play. But of course, this weekend we really finally got to dive into it. Which, side note, I love when a game releases on a Friday, even if I do have Marching Man all day Saturday. But one more weekend.
One more weekend. That's right.
But yeah, so I got to put. I probably put maybe 3 or 4 hours into it at this point, and I'm having a blast. It's so I've been through the first 1, 2. So it's like those kingdoms. Basically, there's the Cap Kingdom, like the monochrome one.
Yep.
And then there's the what's the one after that?
Cascade, is it called that? Or something like
the
that?
Cascade. That's the dinosaur one.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Really nice. And then, of course, the Sand Kingdom, which is the first major area that you're in, which is the one that was from the demo. Played a bunch of that, and then into a couple others. I basically finished my play session. I got into New Donk City.
Oh, cool.
Recently, which it took longer than I anticipated actually to get to, which is cool. But yeah, it's just so beautiful, and it's so creative, constantly surprising, constantly just keeping you on your toes. There's the hat mechanic itself that is obviously kind of played up a lot. Is very cool. It's not necessarily, you don't have to bust your brain to figure out like, oh, here's this thing. I should do this. It just turns into a thing where you're throwing your hat at everything, and you see, and you're constantly like, oh, that's so cool that they let me do this, or, I'm thinking of a few, and again, part of the joy of this game is discovering not only what the transformations are, but what you can do with them. And it's been said many times in some of the reviews that have gone out. Obviously, the reviews have been extremely positive, many 10s over and over again. And so it's just the joy and the delight of the setting and the games. So I guess how should we approach that? Like, you tell me about some of your experiences. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I got it I think I got it the day after it came out.
Okay.
And I'm about an hour and a half in, and I just finished the Cascade Kingdom, I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
And I want to go back to it, but I couldn't.
Right.
I wanted to go back, and I'm excited to go back to it at some point. Mostly because that was so fun to be a giant T-Rex. That was great with a mustache. But no, so I played through Cascade Kingdom, and I just saved it at the beginning of the desert. And my only issue is I have two issues. One is I think they should have come up with a better name for New Donk City. I just don't think that's great, but whatever. It's what it is. Yeah, it is. So,
it's like the Wii when it first came out, right?
Right, exactly. You get used to it. So New Donk City. But the other thing is the sheer amount of moves you can do. Like you going into the action menu it feels slightly daunting. If that's the only complaint about a game,
Sure.
then that's a great game. I mean, every game has something where I'm like, I'm not sure, but that's my only thing. It's like there's so many things you can do, but
Yeah.
what's nice is because you can access that action menu at any point. If you're like, oh, I know that I need to be able to do that. How do I do that again? It's a couple clicks away.
And I think it's the way they implemented it is nice because they show you that at the beginning, but then
Right.
every time you go to a new kingdom, you and Cappy are just kind of hanging out in the Odyssey there, and he's like, hey, let's look at this. He's looking at like tour brochures or something, or some
Right.
kind of instruction manual or whatever. And so he's like, let's take a look at this move, and they kind of take you through the important ones again just to remind you, which I think is super helpful.
Right, for what you'll need for this upcoming area. Yeah, that's cool. I purely in like anticipating like later levels where I might need to know many moves.
Right.
Like that. I mean that again the smallest of complaints because
Right.
the game is amazing and it feels great. I like that it feels like I'm playing an extension of 64 and Galaxy. It's
I gotta say,
fantastic.
it did take me a few minutes, maybe even the first hour or so, to really, because there's a nuance to the controls. I think we maybe touched on this a little bit last week. It's a little bit, you have to. He moves very 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 precisely, and you almost have to. It's almost too precise because you had to I overextended several times or didn't go enough, or there's some nuance to it that I had to kind of learn, but I feel like I've got a good grip on it now.
I will say that was one of the things that I loved about 3D World was that anytime you were moving on an angle, you could go D-pad and go like in between like up and left or up and right, and it would send you right on the perfect angle, and so like with analog movement is great, but there are times when I want that like, hey, I know if I do this on a D-pad, I'm going to be like precisely perfect.
Right.
And so like it requires more of me as a player, which is both cool and slightly frustrating because I need to get better. but the game is so good that it makes me want to get better. And I feel like with the right Joy-Con, it's more laying on my hand than like I'm holding it. That's I guess that's a second like subtle.
I was going to ask, you're playing separated Joy-Cons. Is that what you decided to do?
I am right now. I did, because with Galaxy, in Galaxy 2, I got used to playing separated hands, but I don't know. Are you playing it not separated?
So I've done a little of both, and I'm interested because probably this coming weekend or shortly thereafter, I'm actually finally getting a Pro controller.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what kind of difference that makes.
That's a good point because it does say like we recommend that you play this way. Right.
They say they recommend the split Joy-Cons, but I think that's just because they want you to do the motion controls. And honestly, it is easier. Playing in handheld mode is kind of annoying sometimes when you're trying to do when you're trying to do the homing hat thing.
Sure.
You're trying to get this or the homing hat or the hat to spin around you or whatever. You're just kind of like shaking your
switch on the ground accidentally. Oh
no! So that makes it a little difficult. But yeah, so the Joy-Cons are great for that. But I think just having that Pro controller, in terms of precision of jumping and the turns and one of my favorite things, obviously the triple jump is great, but my favorite thing to do is like the side jump, the forward, backward, up, down, all those things.
Yep.
Having the precision, I think might, that could be helped with the Pro controller.
That's a good point. I'll try it with the Pro controller the next time I play because the Pro controller on Breath of the Wild took that game from being unbelievably amazing to being even more unbelievably amazing. So I love the Pro controller, and
I'm excited.
I love the Pro controller. It's so bad. So to quote the Power Glove. Anyways,
it's so bad.
So yeah, that's a good point. I'll be trying that on the Pro controller because that was the only thing is I felt like I was like holding like balancing the right Joy-Con on my hand, which I got used to. But I'd like to try that with the Pro.
So one thing I really like about Mario this time along is that much in the way that Zelda always rewarded you for exploring, this does a lot of the same thing, and even to a greater degree. And you feel even smarter. Like the Korok seeds, for as many as there are, and some people are like, how can there be so many of those things? Like that was one thing that helped you feel like you always had something to find. Always
right.
and there was always something relatively nearby that you're like, oh, just this little bit of fun to have and a little puzzle to solve, whatever. These moons, for the most part, there are some that are very obvious. It's just, it's right there, and you just got to jump, jump specifically to it or whatever, and there's some that are easier. But this game always rewards you for just going around that extra corner or doing just little things all along the way. And there's tons and tons and tons of moons, and so it rewards you for that exploration. I love that about this game.
Yeah. Yep. Even with the purple coins, which I don't even know what they do at this point. I just know that there's purple coins, and I'll find out what they do. But I got 43.
Stuff, yeah.
Okay, I got 40.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Good. Yeah, I got 43 out of 50 in the Cascade Kingdom. And I saw 3 more as I was like taking off. I was like, no, I want to go back. Okay, I'll just go back, and it wouldn't let me. So that's another it's that little like carrot dangling in front of you where it's like, yeah, you did what you needed to do, but you could go get this. It's just like, yeah, I want to go get all of them. I want to get everything in the game. So.
But it's but they're even more meaningful than the Korok seeds because the moons typically take just a little bit more thought or a little bit looking behind the thing, and they're not. Whereas the Korok seeds, they fell into 6 or 7 different kind of types of puzzles.
Yep.
These are all unique and different, and they usually take advantage of one of your transformation abilities.
Sure.
And yeah, there's just lots of great things.
Yeah.
That are just little challenges that along the way that really push you to do some cool stuff.
Yeah. And
let's talk about those 2D levels or those 2D areas.
Yeah, I've encountered I think just one of them, and it was just like, oh right, I know I'm good at this.
Right.
I don't care like if I'm messing up in the 3D stuff. 2D, I'm like I can just blitzkrieg this. But
the one in the Cascade Kingdom has a really fun secret.
Yeah, around the edge.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil it, but okay. Go
no,
around the edge.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's pretty simple. It's you can see it pretty well. But yeah, that blew my mind. Like I went around there and I'm like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, A Link Between Worlds.
I know.
Now in Odyssey, like again, Nintendo with their brilliance. It's just So
I'm so excited because I'm only 4 or 5 kingdoms in, but there's probably, from what I hear, upwards of
2 more, 3 more, maybe. No.
maybe another 10 or 12, maybe.
Yeah.
Or somewhere around there. But man, the prospect, and I hear they just get better and better. So I'm very excited to see more, and we will obviously, this is not the only time we're going to be talking about Mario. There's going to be future episodes where we get updated impressions on, and if our Zelda impressions have given you anything, we like it.
right. Yeah, I would say like, I mean, I'll play other things in the future, in the near future even, but I will be playing a lot of this game. So it's so good. And I also yes, if you haven't gotten this yet and you want to Switch, you have to get this game. I also want to just quickly say what we've been playing. What we will be playing, I will be playing Doom when that comes out as well. So, and that's in less than 2 weeks, and then Rocket League is in 2 weeks.
Soon?
So, dang. Yeah, November 11th. I thought.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's Doom and Rocket League all coming out. There's so much coming out for the Switch. It's gonna be great. Good times. So
awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's the episode.
That's kind of it. Yeah. We'll get back on. We'll give you another soundtrack review coming up here soon. I got some ideas for some things I want to do at some point, or some retro game reviews as well. But we should probably get on here. We're probably coming close to an hour here. So
yeah.
But yeah, obviously, as always, we want to thank you so much for listening, and we would like to ask you if you like what you hear, go on iTunes, please. Give us a review. And it helps give the show visibility. We have higher download numbers this week than we've ever had from our last episode.
That's cool.
So we're gaining some steam. We want to spread the good word. And so go on iTunes, give us a review. That'd be awesome. You can find us on YouTube at our Nintendo Directors channel. You can find us on Twitter at _directors. And if you want to write into the show, you can find us. You can send an email with any questions or comments, or just whatever thoughts you have, to nintendodirectorspodcast@gmail.com. Our next show is going to be 2 weeks down the line. Should be
the 15th, I think.
That's the Wednesday, so the Thursday would be the 16th. Yep.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's in fact, yeah, that should be a good one. So we'll have more impressions of Mario at that point and some other stuff going on. Yeah.
And really quick, that means that we're about 4 episodes away then from we're going to do a live an episode where you guys will be able to interact with us, and it's also going to be our end of year awards, the Nintendo Director Awards. So that'll be one where we'll be doing live video as well. So you'll be able to be part of the show if you want to. So we'll have more details on that coming up soon. But so anyways, yeah. So that's this episode. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
See ya.